The parking lot outside. Lincoln Elementary was crowded with SUVs and polished smiles. It smelled like fresh-cut grass and expensive perfume. Parents stood in little circles, talking about ski trips and summer camps like they were comparing trophies. Jason Miller felt every eye slide toward him. He adjusted the strap of his daughter's faded pink backpack on his shoulder and forced a calm he didn't feel. His work boots were clean but scuffed. His jeans had a faint stain of drywall dust he'd missed that morning. He'd come straight from a remodeling job across town because Emily had begged him not to miss career day. "I'm in construction," he said simply. "I renovate homes." A few polite nods. Then the laugh. Soft, sharp, familiar. His ex-wife, Vanessa, stood beside her fiancé, tall, polished, wearing a navy blazer that probably cost more than Jason's truck. Vanessa's smile was the same one she used to wear in court. "Renovate," she echoed lightly. That's one way to put it. He fixes things other people can afford to replace. A couple of parents chuckled. Not cruelly, just enough. Jason swallowed. He wasn't ashamed of his work. He built kitchens from empty shells. He repaired storm-damaged roofs at midnight. He'd once driven 3 hours to fix a broken wheelchair, ramp for an elderly woman who couldn't leave her house. But in moments like this, surrounded by pressed suits and perfect hair, he felt smaller than he ever had on a construction site. Emily's small hand slipped into his. "Daddy built my bed," she said proudly, loud enough for everyone to hear. "And he made it pink because he knows that's my favorite." Jason's throat tightened. Vanessa gave a thin smile. "That's sweet. But maybe someday you'll have someone who can buy you a bed instead of hammering one together in a garage." The words landed heavier than the laughter. Jason knelt so he was eye level with his daughter. "You ready to go inside, kiddo?" She nodded, unaware of the storm inside his chest. He stood, and that's when the low purr of an engine rolled across the parking lot. It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Heads turned. A sleek black Rolls-Royce Ghost glided to a stop near the curb. The sunlight caught the chrome like it had something to prove. Conversations stalled mid-sentence. Jason stepped back automatically, assuming someone important had arrived for someone else. The driver's door opened, and out stepped a man most of them had only ever seen on magazine covers. Ethan Caldwell, tech billionaire, founder of one of the fastest-growing AI companies in the country. A man who donated entire wings to hospitals and never did interviews about it. Forbes called him the quiet disruptor. News anchors called him untouchable. He wasn't supposed to be here. Vanessa's fiancé straightened immediately. A few parents fumbled for their phones. Ethan Caldwell didn't look at any of them. He walked straight toward Jason. Jason blinked. Maybe he was blocking the path. He shifted slightly, but Ethan stopped right in front of him. For a second, the world felt like it tilted. "Jason Miller?" Ethan asked. Jason's heart thudded. "Yeah?" The billionaire's face softened into something almost like gratitude. "I've been looking for you." The silence in the parking lot deepened. Vanessa's confident posture flickered. Jason's mind scrambled. "I'm sorry, have we met?" "Not officially," Ethan said. "But you once rebuilt my mother's porch." Jason stared. 3 years ago, he'd taken a last-minute job for an older woman named Margaret Caldwell. Her porch had collapsed during a storm. Insurance had dragged its feet. She'd been living with a front door she couldn't safely use. He'd noticed the framed photos. Inside her house while he worked, pictures of a young man receiving awards, shaking hands with presidents. He hadn't connected the last name. "She couldn't afford what other contractors quoted," Ethan continued quietly. "You charged her for materials." "That's it." "You refused payment for your labor." Jason felt heat rise in his neck. "She needed it fixed." "That's all." Ethan's voice tightened. "You stayed late because she said she was afraid at night. You installed extra lighting and didn't put it on the invoice." Jason glanced at the ground. "It wasn't a big deal. It was to her," Ethan said. "And to me." The crowd was no longer pretending not to listen. Vanessa's fiancé's jaw had gone slack. "My mother passed away last year," Ethan continued. "In her will, she asked me to find the man who treated her like she mattered when she felt invisible." Jason's chest constricted. "She left something for you." Vanessa scoffed under her breath. "This is ridiculous." But no one was laughing now. Ethan reached into his jacket and handed Jason a thick envelope. Jason hesitated. I didn't do it for money. I know, Ethan said. That's exactly why she wanted you to have it. Jason opened the envelope slowly. Inside was a letter. And a check. The number on the check made his knees weak. It wasn't just generous. It was life-changing. He blinked, certain he'd misread it. I can't accept this, he whispered. Ethan's gaze didn't waver. It's not charity. It's gratitude. My mother said you restored more than her porch. You restored her faith in people. Emily tugged Jason's sleeve. Daddy, why are you crying? He hadn't realized he was. Vanessa stepped forward, suddenly bright. Well, this is amazing. Jason, you should say thank you properly. Jason looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in years. He remembered the nights he'd worked double shifts so Emily could have ballet lessons. The weekends he'd skipped meals so child support would never be late. The way Vanessa had once told him he'd never be more than a guy with a toolbox. He turned back to Ethan. I helped your mom because she reminded me of my own, he said quietly. She raised me alone. Worked 2 jobs. I know what it's like to feel overlooked. Ethan nodded slowly. That's why I'm here. The billionaire gestured toward the Rolls-Royce. Actually, I'd like to make you an offer. A ripple moved through the crowd. I'm launching a community housing initiative, Ethan said. Affordable renovations. Safe homes for families who've been priced out. I need someone who understands both construction and compassion. Jason's pulse roared in his ears. I want you to lead it. Vanessa's breath caught. Jason stared at him. I don't have a business degree. I don't need one, Ethan replied. I need integrity. I need someone who won't cut corners when no one's looking. The parking lot felt smaller, like the moment was pressing in from all sides. Jason looked down at Emily. Her eyes were shining like he'd just built her the whole world instead of a pink bed. Would it mean helping people? She asked softly. Jason swallowed hard. Yeah, baby. It would, she grinned. Then you should do it. He laughed through tears. Ethan extended his hand. Jason hesitated only a second before shaking it. The murmurs erupted then, whispers of disbelief, admiration, sudden recalculations. Vanessa's fiancé cleared his throat. If you ever need legal, we're good, Jason said gently. Vanessa opened her mouth, but no words came. For the first time, Jason didn't feel small. He felt steady. Seen, Ethan glanced at Emily. You must be the reason he works so hard. She nodded proudly. He says being my dad is his most important job. Ethan smiled. He's right. The school doors opened and kids poured out for career day presentations. Teachers blinked at the unexpected luxury car. Jason folded the check carefully back into the envelope. He wasn't thinking about the number anymore. He was thinking about the porch light he'd installed for a woman who was afraid of the dark, about how kindness, when given freely, doesn't disappear. It circles back, sometimes quietly, sometimes in a Rolls-Royce. Vanessa shifted awkwardly. Jason, I didn't realize. He met her eyes without anger. You didn't need to, because this wasn't about proving her wrong. It was about proving something to himself. Emily squeezed his hand again. Daddy? Yeah? You're kind of a big deal now. He smiled. I was always a big deal. I just didn't have a fancy car. She giggled. Ethan checked his watch. I'll have my office call you this afternoon. We'll discuss details. Jason nodded, still slightly dazed. As Ethan walked back to the Rolls-Royce, the crowd parted like water. The engine purred again, then the car disappeared down the tree-lined street. But the real shift had already happened. Parents who'd barely acknowledged. Jason now offered handshakes, compliments, business cards. He accepted none of it with bitterness. Just quiet grace, because he understood something they didn't. Wealth can amplify a man. It cannot create him. Jason had been the same man an hour earlier when he stood alone with dust on his jeans. The same man when he stayed late to install a light no one would notice. The same man when he built a pink bed in a garage so his daughter would feel special. The difference was never money. It was humanity. He knelt once more in the parking lot, smoothing Emily's hair. You ready to show them what you want to be when you grow up? She beamed. A builder. Like you. His chest nearly broke open. Then let's go. They walked toward the school doors together, not chasing validation, not chasing revenge, but carrying something far more powerful. Proof that kindness is never wasted. That dignity doesn't come from a paycheck, and that sometimes the people who look the smallest in a crowd are the ones quietly holding up the world. Long after the Rolls-Royce was gone, after the whispers faded and the SUVs drove off, one thing remained undeniable. A single dad had shown up for his daughter, and because he chose compassion when no one was watching, the world showed up for him, not to rescue him, but to recognize him